most loyal fan base in the world, around the world. From this time to that time, Fin time. Show 'em how we get down.
Dog fan for life. I don't like no other team. Aqua orange wardrobe. That's my favorite color scheme. NFL legend. And we still hovering. They can take us out, but I'm out. You ain't covering. Say it loud. And best believe respect is due. Until they break the record, we keep repping 7-2. If you ain't learned the history, then I suggest you do. 2-finger salute to the whole schedule. And your roster. Got no time for the critics and the analyzers. Talking dirty about my team, we gon' sanitize ya. Win or lose, we keep something to say. Dog fans with attitude, DWA. That's the name, you should know it. Solo D, I'm known to do my thing like a poet. I'm reppin' for the crib, MIA. And when them teams coming at us, this is all we say. What's up? We gon' hit, we gon' sack, we gon' score, we gon' attack, we gon' hit, we gon' sack, we gon' score, we gon' attack. Hands up, we gon' hit, we gon' sack, we gon' score, we gon' attack, we gon' hit, we gon' sack, we gon' score, we gon' attack. Okay, do it for the culture, represent the legacy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Miami Sports Fanatic Show with your host, GOT. Very humbled and excited to have you guys all here for today's huge show, man. I'm definitely excited about announcing this Miami Dolphins legend here for you guys, man. Batman, why don't you go ahead and bring them on in, my man?
Everybody, let's give a warm welcome to one of the legends down here in South Florida, Miami Dolphins, OJ McDuffie. What's going on?
Man, so you tell me what's going on, man. I'm sitting over here gigging. You know what I mean? You guys, man, that's hot right there. That's hot right there. We got some solo for our episode of, every episode of our podcast. But, man, you guys, I was over here gigging, man. I could have stayed on the outside and let y'all talk and listen to the music. You know what I mean?
We have one more song, too. We have one more to play. But I was like, since it's a long one, I was like, we'll cut it short.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up.
I'm sure you've heard it. It's the Tua time with Solo D.
Yeah. Tua
That's
time.
That's my favorite right there, man. That's my favorite right there, man.
Show.
Man, how's it going for you on a Tuesday evening, my man? How's it going?
It's going well, man. You know what I mean? Just, still grinding, getting, we had a big day today for our podcast. We had a big week last week recording a few guys. And, of course, we had the big man in the tank, and we were able to drop that, man. So today's been a big day of trying to do some promotion with it. Summer break for the kids. Son's in basketball camp. My youngest is, so just, normal day in the life, man, for the most part. Just, doing everything, burning it on both ends, bros.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Listen, first and foremost, I already hear people in the comment section asking about the hats in the background. That was the first thing I saw, man. I do love that fish tank hat you got on. Now, I got to ask, and again, the video doesn't do it justice. I mean, I'm sure there's many more we're not seeing. But do you have the iconic, I guess now Tyreek Hill made it iconic, because these training camp hats have been available here for about a year and some change. But for some reason, Tyreek Hill puts it on, and it's like the brand new thing out here.
Right.
So tell me you have one of those in your repertoire.
No, I don't have any. Make sure before I say something. Let's see.
It's an impressive collection, to say the least.
Yeah, I've got probably about 40 to 50 hats up here.
I love that bucket hat right there, man. You got
bucket's
nice
my favorite
right there.
I've got that bucket. I've got the aqua one above it. I love buckets more than anything, man. When I go to the beach, it's gotta be a bucket hat. Yep. Because I get sunburned easily. My dark skin. You feel me?
And this South Florida heat is no joke.
No joke. Got to cover everything up, bro. Got to cover everything up.
Man, so Batman, I'll let you ask the first question here, man. But first and foremost, I gotta make our guests smile here, man. And listen, I know you've heard this before, but for those of you who don't know, this is our special guest, is Miami Dolphins pass wide receiver here, OJ the Juice McDuffie. Played 8 seasons with the Fins. Over that span, had over 5,000 receiving yards. And correct me if I'm wrong, that is still 5th all-time in Dolphins history. NFL receptions leader in 1998. Averaged 12 yards per catch in your career, my guy. And 29 total receiving touchdowns, which still stands as the 6th most all-time in franchise history.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Like,
Yeah, I didn't
my
know
man,
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know we talked a little bit before you got on the show, but tell me how that feels.
Man, you know what, man? I knew a couple of those stats, and I'm gonna tell you what, a few of those, I mean, I'll give you a little history. A few of those stats, I wouldn't be ranked so high if it weren't for the Miami Dolphins and as an organization, what they've done. Now, Chris Chambers was creeping up on my receptions, all-time, career receptions, and they traded him to the Chargers.
The Chargers.
Jarvis Landry was creeping as well. He got traded to the Browns. You know what I mean? So, hey, I had some guys that were on my neck, man. You know what I mean? I was already cool being behind Warfield and Matt Moore and Mark and the Dukes, the Marks brothers. But there's other dudes was coming up on me quick. So I had to call the front office and they said, "Yo, we gotta get rid of these dudes." That never happened. But it just so happened that I was able to maintain my 5th, 6th spot because those dudes who were beasts for the Miami Dolphins, I ended up getting traded.
They definitely were, man. They definitely were. And I know one of those that you mentioned recently, Jarvis, that was your guy when he was a Dolphin, man. Definitely resonated with your style of play for sure. But yeah, with all that being said, Batman, man, what question do you have for Mr. OJ himself?
So without not putting your teammates on the spot, what's one of your favorite teammates that probably nobody knows about, that as far as that you guys just got along, you guys hung out all the time, in your time here, like, who was that guy that was like your go-to, your best friend on the team?
Yeah, so as you know, in the NFL, and I know GLT, you gave me 8 years. I got 9 years officially, but the last year, I was still in the last year. So, but it's still in my pension. You know what I mean? It's still in my pension. So, but when you spend that much time down here, man, on the same team, good friends, they come and go. NFL lives are shorter than less than 3 years. But for the most part, when I first got down here, Terry Kirby was my guy. We came in the same draft class. He was the first round. I was the first round pick. He was the 3rd round pick. Our 2nd round pick went to New England for Irvin Fryer, which is a great pickup. But then the rest of my career, for the most part, is my man Lamar Thomas, man, from the U. And we hated each other in college. We played each other our junior and senior year, man. We gave each other crap all the time, man. And then we met at Combine in Indianapolis. Officially met. We spent some time together, man, and we became almost best friends then. Obviously, he got drafted by Tampa. I got drafted by the Dolphins. But when he came down to Miami, it was like instant, that's my boy. And we've been cool ever since. He lives, 15 minutes from me now, and we're still cool like that. So Lamar Thomas is my dude for sure.
That is very funny to hear, man, because it's one of those things where I'm sure the reason why you guys probably hated each other so much was because you guys were probably so cut from the same cloth. Yeah. And it's funny because those are the ones that you build a lasting bond with. So it is interesting you say that.
Yeah, well, he hates me because I kicked their ass, even though we lost. You know what I mean? I had the numbers. He had some of his teammates saying, "Damn, LT, Juice is killing you over there, man. I don't see you doing any of that." So that was the original reason he hated me, man. And I said, "L, you gotta get over that, bro. You gotta get over that, man. At least they won the games, so at least you can have that to go home with,
It's true.
So let me ask you this real quick, in case Batman. I got a bunch of questions, man. I've been thinking about this since last week. But looking at you now up in person, because usually I catch your shows on the Fish Tank, Spotify. But lately, the Dolphins have been putting it out there. You guys had a huge show with Mike McDaniel, which, guys, if you have not watched it, don't watch it now. Stay tuned here.
That's right. That's right. Don't go anywhere right now.
Yeah, right after we're done, man. I encourage everybody to go catch that show because it is great stuff. It is great stuff. And I gotta ask real quick. This is a side note. You look great, my man. I mean, I'm looking at you, and you look like you haven't lost. You're in football shape, bro. Unless these cameras are doing things to people now, like
filters,
like you
man.
look like,
GOT. I got a filter going.
Something, bro. You got some sort of filters on, but you look like you're bench pressing. You look like you're not a day over 30. Like, what's going on here, my man?
What all this gray? You see all this gray, bro? Come on, man. You're being so.
No, you're using the just for you're just using that just for men, the gray one.
Gray, trying
You
to
know,
make it
because
look
the chicks dig that. The chicks nowadays dig that gray. So that's what you're doing. You're going down to I don't want to say Walmart because I don't want to downplay you.
Oh, I
But you're
love
going
Walmart. Man, what are you talking about? Downplay me, bro. Hey, look, I haven't caught a pass in over 20 years, man. Walmart's one of my favorite spots in the world. Target.
Man.
I mean, hell, Ross. I go to man. Those are my spots right there.
Are you working out with these cats in practices, man? What are you doing? Like something's going on here.
No, actually, man, I actually don't. I don't work out at all. What I try to do is make sure that I eat right, I drink right. You know what I mean? I don't eat late. But I will never seriously work out again, man, because most of my life was spent having to work out, and I do know some guys that, that look like they never played football, or if they did, they look like they played a different position when they did play. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. way bigger than they were when they played. But for me, I'm 5 pounds over my playing weight, and that's a little too much for me still. But I appreciate the compliment. But my ass is getting old, man. 52 is old right now,
Nah, no, not at all. Not at all.
52, that's the new 30, man.
I hope
52
so.
is the new 30, my man.
Tell my wife that.
Let me ask you a question. Obviously, like I said, I've been following you since you started. You were in the broadcast area of the genre, and you were doing great things on the Finsider. Obviously, you're doing amazing things now. I asked Greg Likens the same question. Okay, in your time, even from then to now, who was that person that you brought in the room, whether player, coach, or anybody that you in your time you've interviewed, that for a second you're like, is this really happening? Like, is there anybody out there that from your time, from when you first started to now?
Yeah, man. I mean, coach was the first one that made me super nervous. You know what I mean? Having coach on, for our last podcast. But when I was doing Finsiders, man, and Dominican Sue, when he came in, he was bigger than life, and I couldn't believe first that we got him in Miami, first and foremost, but then he was on our show, and that was something special right there, man. So I really, really enjoyed having, seeing Dominican Sue. And, for me, when I first got in the league in '93, just walking in the locker room and seeing Marino and Urban Fryer and Keith Byers and Jackson and all those guys, Duper, that was like a wow moment for me as a player. But for when it comes to, this side of the table, when it comes to being on, in with the media and things like that, it had to be in Dominican Sue because everybody knew who he was. Like I said, bigger than life player and the biggest off-season acquisition. Probably one of the biggest in Dolphin history at that point. So, yeah, that was absolutely the guy.
Awesome.
That's awesome to hear, man.
Yeah.
I can't say me and Batman, what we try to do on this show, we started this show about 7 months ago. Very fortunate what it's been able to do so far. The guests we've had on, we're just one of these guys that we stay humble to the core, and I'm sure you know what I mean about this. We were talking backstage before the show started, and I want the fans to kind of hear that from you, if you don't mind. How has that transition been from pro player of the Miami Dolphins organization to now a fan of the organization? If you can explain that to the listeners.
Yeah, man. I've always been a fan. Let me put it this way. I've been a fan of Miami Dolphins since 1993, April of 1993, the day they drafted me. Before that, I'm from Ohio. I was a Cleveland Browns fan. Went to school in Pennsylvania, so I love the Eagles. I like watching Steelers. But for me, it was awesome to come down here. And from that day, I've been the biggest fan and left all my other alliances and love, back wherever they were. Even for me, I even love, the Heat are my favorite basketball team. The Marlins are my favorite baseball team. The Panthers are my favorite hockey team. I'm all about South Florida now, and of course the Dolphins, the ones that, took care of me for so many years. And of course, down here in South Florida community, taking care of me for so many years, it's just been amazing. So it was an easy transition for the most part, being a fan. Of course, leaving the game is always tough on every player, man. No, very few players leave the game on their own terms, as we all know, it's a injury, cut, waived, whatever it might be, man. It's a tough deal for a lot of guys, man. But as we were talking, off air before we got on, when I left the game, I ended up getting season tickets in the first row so I can get as close to the game as possible. Me and about 20 of my friends and family, I got season tickets, and I just trying to stay as close to the game as possible. And so it's always tough. One thing about former players is they miss a lot of things that go on in the league. And one thing is that locker room, the camaraderie, blood, sweat, and tears with guys. And other than that, though, I joke all the time about there's only 2 fun days in football, and that's Sundays and paydays. They can have the rest of it. Sundays and paydays are the fun days. And so, man, it's the best thing that we've done. And kudos to my man Seth Levin, my partner in crime in the Fish Tank. When he came to me with the idea of this podcast, our goal was to get on the Dolphins podcast network. We weren't there at the beginning, and then finally, Jason Jenkins, our boss, called us up and asked, if we, wanted to be a part of it. And of course, the answer is hell yeah. And so we're back in the building now, and that's important, man. Being the fan that I am, the much love I have for the team, it's so nice being able to be a part of the organization in whatever fashion I can be.
It's funny you say
we
that.
watch
Me and Gio, our goal is to be able to be joining you guys one day on the network, man. That's honestly like we try to keep it as professional as we can. Like I said, we're growing, and eventually one day down the line, I would love for the Miami Dolphins to give us that honor, man, to be joining you guys, man, and be part of the network. We would love that. That'd be more than
bro. You guys are pro Dolphins, man. We get a lot of shit. Can I say shit?
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so we get a lot of shit sometimes because we work for the team, and they like, oh, you gotta, the hell with that, man. We work for the team, and we prefer to work for the team because we are pro team. Some things, we can't sugarcoat. There's some things that are going on at times that you want to be real about, and you can be real about it, but you don't have to be an asshole about it. You got to keep it, you got to keep professional with the team that you work for. You can say instead of this guy sucks, you can say this guy has to play better. You know what I mean? Things like that. And that's all, man. People are like, oh, you sugarcoating it, man. Man, the hell with them. I ain't got time for that, man. None of them pay my bills, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's true.
Right.
But regardless, Dan Marino Pass, whatever they are, they do.
And to keep that same sentiment, Juice, to be honest, even if you got to sugarcoat it, listen, that's your team first and foremost. Like you want everyone to get better. Right?
Doesn't it drive you crazy though when you hear people bashing the team? You know what I mean? And they call themselves Dolphin fans, but then all they do is bash, man. Listen, everybody's frustrated. But there's different ways of communicating that.
Exactly.
I mean, we're called Tua ears because we're optimistic that Tua's going to turn it around and take that next leap. I mean, but hey, what do we know, man? It's year 3, and statistically proven. Year 3 for every quarterback is either they take a step forward or they regress. So, I mean, we're not entirely wrong, man. We're just being positive, like you said, man. And at the end of the day, it is what it is. If you're not a fanatic to that extent, I don't know what you're doing, But real quick here, OJ, because you said you're in the building, okay? You're in the building. You've been in the building for a while. I do know, and this is where the questions are going to flip here real quick. I do know there's things you can and cannot say. I definitely know that much. What can you say as far as how was minicamp? How was practices? How was these OTAs? Being a player and knowing what practice is supposed to look like. Granted, this is a new scheme that's being embedded into our offense and our team in general. What can you tell the fans about how practice truly has been going from a player's perspective? Is it where it should be? Should we be concerned? What is your honest take on it?
Yeah, I wouldn't be concerned. No, definitely not concerned. Look, I mean, our offense is going up against probably top 5 defense in the league.
Yep.
All season long, man. And everybody's back. Josh Boyer's back. Every single asset on defense is back, and they showed it. I remember some practice where I thought Josh Boyer was in week 15 versus New England trying to get into the playoffs. Some of the things they were doing against that offense, but Coach McDaniel loves that because we're going to see stuff like that. But the bottom line is they are learning a whole new offense, learning a whole new verbiage. Everything is new to this offense, man. And I saw a lot of guys on offense, not just quarterbacks, but wide receivers, tight ends. Everybody's still figuring out where to line up, motion, and things like that. And I guarantee he'll have it right and they're ready to go, man. So the defense obviously was just kicking a lot of ass. They really were. And but hell, if you can create any type of offense against our defense, especially a new offense, then you're making strides. And so they'll have us prepared for whatever, man. But that defense let's just talk about them first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they look great.
Tell us, my man.
They look great. They really do. And you look at some of the guys that are going to be good. X-Man didn't work that much in some of the OTAs or mini camps. Byron wasn't out there as much, but Igbenogany looked really good. Nick Needham played some corner as well. He looked really good. Javon Holland is just going to be a beast in this, for our team. I mean, he's unbelievable to watch. I think a lot of veteran guys look up to him, which is amazing for a second-year guy. And I think Jalen Phillips, another guy that we had in the tank, boy, I can't wait to see what he does in year 2. So that defense is looking like that team that they finished the season off being. Beginning of the season, they didn't look that way last year. 2 years ago, they looked great throughout the season. In the season this last year, they look great. And I think that's the team that we're going to see moving forward because we have a lot of guys, especially some of the younger guys. We have so much depth behind these guys now that can come in there and fill those roles. If somebody were to take a blow or, have a minor injury or anything like that, the whole unit is great. So for our defense or for our offense to struggle against that defense, it's not surprising to me. Defense always ahead of the offense when it comes to teams. For me, I hated working against our own defense because, they were good, but they also knew every damn thing we had. They knew every single move I had. They knew every single play we had. And
Can you say that one more time, OJ? Can you say that one more time? Because fans don't understand that part where the defense knows exactly. Please say that one more time.
Yeah, I was just going to say, every time you go out to practice, when you start going over the script, the defense is going over your script too. They know exactly what plays you're going to run. If you're in bunch over here, if you're in 3 wide over here, they already went over this in the meeting room, and then they go out to the field and act like, oh, I read that. Hell no, you didn't read that, but you saw it. You knew what we were going to do in this situation. So defense is always going to be ahead of the offense, man, and it's just part of it, man. You find a way to beat them. But I'm going to tell you, we had a guy in the tank that's coming out. His episode's coming out in a couple of weeks. And he said that Coach McDaniel, he goes against some of the trends sometimes. So he'll see something, as a defensive player, a linebacker, and it was like, well, they can only do this, this, or that, right? But when he goes to line up, Coach McDaniel does something else. So he said it's one coach that has had him off guard when it comes to, getting rid of, breaking some tendencies. So if you're playing against our team offensively coming up in the future, be ready for all kinds of stuff that'll buck the trends because Coach McDaniel thinks the same way. As
That's interesting.
As a self-scout, he'll look, all right, we usually do this. We'll line up this way, and we'll do something that they will never be prepared for.
Let me ask you a question. So, yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting, and it's definitely going to catch some people off guard. I was able to obviously you guys are doing. You, Travis, and Seth are doing some amazing Twitter spaces. Shout out to you guys. If you guys, community has been tuning in, I was able to jump on with you guys. You brought me on the platform 2 weeks ago, and I asked you guys a question as far as what have you seen? Obviously, bringing Sam and Pat back, including them, putting them in this defense. Obviously, I preach on what he was able to do in Kansas City. Being ranked from towards the end of the league, bringing up to 16, and then last year being number 6 in the league as far as the defense. And we could only imagine what he's going to do to this secondary. Obviously, guys like Trill Williams, Noah Bignagami, taking that next step. The fan base has been asking a lot of questions. They want to, we hear different things here and there as far as what production and productivity, as far as are they getting any better? What can you say, if you can, like Gio was mentioning earlier, from what you've seen so far to this point of Noah taking that next step with Sam? Because we're hearing he's first one in the room, last one to leave with them. They're always together. And what can you tell the fan base to put them at ease if you can, or whatever you've seen?
Well, one thing that most people know, and and I know it's for a fact, is Noah works very hard. He works his butt off, and it's not from lack of talent. People don't know. What year is Noah? And he's in his 3rd year, right?
Yes.
He's heading in. Yep, getting
He's only
into his
22
third year.
years old, bro. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So he's still young in the game. There's a lot of guys that come out as rookies and they're 22 years old. His third year in the league, and he's only 22 years old, man. And so he's still learning the game. His athleticism and speed and talent is there. He's just got to learn more about the game. And there are a lot of guys that are great. You know, X is talented as hell, but the thing that and Byron's talented as hell, but the thing that gets those guys over the top is their knowledge of the game. You know, everybody's got talent. Everybody's got talent. So what are the little things that make you better than the man across from you, the man next to you? And those are the important things. Noah is learning those things, you know, especially from X, from Byron. But now you got Sam and Pat as well instilling that. You know, think about it. Pat was one of the best inside corners as well in the game back in the day. You know, Wes Walker's one of the best inside route runners in the game. So they can work with somebody, you know, like Nick Needham, you know, to show them as an offensive guy from West or from inside guy like or defense guy like Pat can teach these guys like things like that. And that's what Noah's learning from these guys. I always talk about it. It's always best to have guys that have actually been out there and played when it's live out there. You know, I always compare it like to, you know, there's always theory. You get a lot of theory from some coaches that never played at that level. And here's what is going to happen. But then you get reality from guys like Pat, Sam, and Wes that actually played the game in those positions. And that's what's really going to happen. So that knowledge they're going to be given to Noah Igbenogany, you know, is going to be important, man. And Trill, you know, they love Trill. Athletes, man, they love athletes. You got some athletes, man, they got the knowledge, man. They can be great football players.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Yeah, because our fan base, we have these discussions on a daily. And obviously, me and Gio, we're positive. We want to see them take a next step forward, and it's only going to help them.
We need them to, right? We need them to help.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Listen, like Batman was saying, to piggyback on him, it's only in the Miami Dolphins' favor, and it does us a big advantage if they do take that step forward. Yeah. You know, especially with the picks we know we got next year. You know, if all these guys take that step forward like we hope, and, you know, that does come to fruition, we're standing pat here looking pretty next. I mean, finally, we'll have a draft where we could get best player available, you know, whatever position you want.
Right. And I think that's key, man. The coach, I know Coach for a fact is trying to build competition and build depth. You know, we've been there before. We've had some frontline guys that are really good, but somebody goes down and we suffer. And I think the fact that we've got a few guys now that are starting to get it, you know, we're building that depth. And, you know, eventually X and Byron, you know, they're going to move on, you know, whether it be retired at, you know, 10 years from now, 5, whatever it is, or they go somewhere else. So we need these guys to come along and be ready to fill those big shoes, you know, and that's at every position. The key to any successful team, man, is to be able to create that depth. And I think we're starting to do that in a lot of positions, you know, even Tua having Teddy behind him, you know, I mean, I think that's a huge depth chart thing that we've got going, you know, and not to mention, I mean, we've got some guys that are honestly that are going to be special players that are behind some of the guys that, you know, that are our starters right now. And that's always critical for a team that can maintain and, you know, sustain success. And, you know, even Skylar Thompson, I mean, hell, he might not play for 7-8 years, but at least he'll be around and the talent's there, and he's going to create some competition with these boys.
Yeah, man, that sounds great. And that was actually that was going to be one of my questions here, because you're right. We have so many, it looks like great talented players that are sitting behind these guys. And first and foremost, when I got home, Juice, I had my wife in the couch and my 3 kids before I hopped on the show. And I spoke to all 4 of them, my 3 kids and my wife. And I said, look, Daddy has a really big show tonight. What do you guys need before I go in there? Because if I can keep OJ locked in for 4 hours, I'll do it. But I won't do that, my man. So tell me, how are you on time? Like, I don't want to take up too much of it, because I know you also got family. So let me know.
I got a little more time, bro. We're good, man. We're good, man. My family's locked out.
Cool, man. Listen, I talk to the family. I talk to the family, and they already know what time it is, my man. All right. I don't got to see them for the next 4 hours. If they don't see me, they know where I'm at. All right.
I know what's good. Right? You're good. All right.
I do got a quick question for you. Cedric Wilson. Okay. The guy, some of these players is getting to the point where they seemed aforementioned. It's like, okay, yeah, we got Tyreek, we got Mike McDaniel, Tua, we got Waddle. All right, let's go. Now, I wanted to get your insight because I don't know if you've been able to see these guys. I'm sure you probably have. But talk to me about Cedric Wilson, man. He seems to be my apologies there. I got my neighbor's dog is just, I guess, begging for some biscuits. But
I love dogs.
talk to me about Cedric Wilson, my man. What have you seen out of him? And he seems to be my dark horse out of everyone in this offense.
Yeah, I think Cedric's going to be solid, man. He's going to be really good. He's going to love the fact that they're going to be paying so much attention to Tyreek and Jalen and Mike Gesicki, paying attention to our run game. I think he's got to be excited about the one-on-one opportunities he's going to get, and he's a beast. He really is. He's a hell of a player, man. And he's going to get some shots. All we got to do is make sure that we, recognize, when Cedric's got a one-on-one opportunity, there's a lot of people on the inside, there's one-on-ones on the outside. You got to trust that he's going to make it happen, and get open and run the right routes and make a catch for you. And I think that's what Cedric's going to do, man. So, I don't think he minds right now not being talked about as much, He signed a nice deal. He's got a nice contract, and, everybody's paying so much attention to the other guys. I think he doesn't mind being under the radar. But he's gonna flash for us. It's gonna be fun to watch, what he brings to the table. Because considering all the attention the other guys are gonna get, I hope it gets to a point where, where teams have to pick their poison. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna line up and bring a guy down in the box and try to stop our run game, or are you gonna go play coverage and try to cover all these guys, and then we can run Edmonds at you? We can run, Mostert at you. We can run, Sony Michel at you. Damn. What they've done so far, man, it's going to make it. It should be a beautiful, beautiful, system for everybody involved. And I was telling people the other day, I did an interview the other day, and I'm saying, like, look, Tyreek's numbers might not be what they were in Kansas City, but his impact is going to be bigger here. His impact is going to be so big because they're going to pay so much attention to me. Watch everybody else's numbers. Now to tell you about Tyreek's impact.
And not to discredit all the players we've got, because I honestly agree with you. Said Wilson, I think, is going to be highly under the radar, and he's going to be able to produce a lot of stuff for us, without us expecting it. And obviously, we go back to bringing in Armstead to the team, and Tyreek onto the squad. You're talking about multi-Pro Bowlers that are able to teach some of these second and third year guys the ropes. They've been in playoff games. These are big moments that they know what it takes to win the big game.
Right.
That being said, we haven't had a top 10 offense in the NFL for quite some time now.
Right.
The additions we brought in, like you mentioned, the running back room has completely been bolstered. The wide receiver room has completely done. Our O-line has definitely improved. Everything has set the table's set for Tua to perform, and obviously, the coaching staff brought in, they're going to be able to teach some of these young linemen, second and third year guys, and Armstead as well. So my question from all that being said, and like you mentioned earlier, we have a top 5 defense in the league. Do you see that we can play some complementary football on both sides of the field? Not even on all 3 phases of the field, on special teams too, because we definitely, since we parted ways with Jakeem Grant, we've definitely taken a hit as a team as far as the special teams.
Yeah.
How do you feel like? Can we play some complementary football in your opinion?
Man, I know we can, and I'm gonna tell you why. We lost Jakeem Grant, but we also think about it, man. How often do you get kickoff and punt returns nowadays? The way the game has changed that are that big of plays. Punters and kickers and coverage guys have so much speed and so much talent. And honestly, the league doesn't really want, returns in the kickoff and the punt return because it's the most dangerous part of football. But then you go out there and you get, Tom Morstead, I think Jason Sanders is going to have his a bounce back year. But for us, I think we're going to be able to play a lot of complementary football because I know the coach on offense is going to demand that we are able to run the football. We're going to be able to run the football, and we're going to run it, and not just take a chance every once in a while and run it. We're going to run it and let people know that we're going to run it. And you can't just do it briefly and then bail on it and go to the pass game. I think that Coach McDaniel, you know, especially with his background and all the coaches that we brought in. You think about our OC and Frank Smith, you know, he's got so much knowledge on the offensive line, especially, you know, and has been a run game coordinator before. You know, Matt Applebaum, all those guys are all offensive line kind of guys. Darrell Bevel, they've all been a part of offensive line. Our offensive line play is guaranteed to be, I mean, and I'm not taking a shot at the team by saying it's guaranteed to be better than it's been, because we know it hasn't been as good as it needs to be. But
I'll say
shot,
it.
right?
Don't worry. Look, OJ, listen, I already know, my man. Don't worry, Juice. I'll be the one to say it. Last year, what we saw in the running game, and I love the fact that you said it, because most of the times what we saw from our running game was we tried, but then we bailed out way too quickly, especially at times when we saw the run game was working.
Right. Correct.
You know?
Correct.
So,
and I saw some guys last year, you know, I mean, I was shocked a lot of times we made decisions last year. Like Duke Johnson. I don't know. Once Duke started being back to the Duke from the U, how do we not continue to find out if he's still a Duke from the U? And we abandon stuff like that, you know? I don't see that happening with Coach McDaniel. I really don't. And I know we got a few backs that do different things. We got some pounders. You know, we got some speed guys. You know, there's going to be a concerted effort to make sure we run the ball and we run it effectively and efficiently.
That sounds awesome, man. That sounds awesome. Now, I got a alumni question for you.
Okay.
I've been doing my homework. Okay. I hope you and Gesicki have a great relationship. Being you guys play for Penn State, you know, like have you reached out to him? Have you guys spoken? Does he know you went to Penn State? Because he seems a little younger, you know. So I don't know. I don't know if he knows. I don't know if he knows. I don't know. Listen, you're 30. Today you're 30 years old. So I don't know if he knows, but there has to be some connection there with Penn State, my man. I'm sure you've had to have told him this.
Yeah. I've been in contact with Mike since day one, for sure.
Okay.
You know, you know, I was in contact with Mike when he was at Penn State, and I go up for games as well.
Really?
You know, so it was nice to see him come.
He was a baller over there in Penn State too, man. He was a hooper.
Dude, he's unbelievable, man. 44-inch vertical. Yeah, he was. People don't realize. I think he was a two-time like player of the year for the state of New Jersey in volleyball as well. You know, what I mean, he's a big-time volleyball player as well. So yeah, he's a big-time athlete, man, and he brought that to Penn State, and he's brought that here. And he's another guy that's going to benefit from a lot of these guys that we've acquired. You know, the one-on-ones he's going to get. See, Mike, what I love about Mike is, you know, you give him an opportunity. Those aren't 50-50 balls. They're like 80-20 balls, you know.
That's right.
But you got to put it in his, you know, in his wheelhouse, and he's going to come down with it, man. And so you know, yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, he and only thing I do have a problem with him with is, you know, I'm in real estate too, and I just saw he's building a house and he didn't call me, you know, and that's another story though. We'll figure that out another day. You know what I mean?
Hey, listen, we gotta do something here next time. Then we're trying. Me and Batman. Listen, you know, well, maybe not for you because you're a player and you're in the building, you know, and you're OJ. Let's keep it honest. You're the juice. But me and Batman, we try to reach out to some players, man, and we get it. You know, I gotta say this, because if it would have been 10 years ago, it probably would have been easier to get some former, current players on shows. But because we're in the day and age that we are in, and how hot social media is, I understand why certain players are a little more reserved when wanting to go out and do shows like this.
Bro, it's smart. It's smart on their part, man. You know, and I can't imagine. I talk to guys. Shoot, we talk all the time, man. The things we did back when we were playing, we're lucky social media wasn't around. You know what I mean? And not only that, man. True. You know, people. You know, I mean, they take social media and they just feel like like it's, you know, they're right to talk a lot of trash and, you know, and dog people, and then, you know, they won't be cool. Exactly right. Keyboard tough guys, you know, and it is what it is. Before now, say I go to quarterdeck and have a couple of drinks, you know, it's out there like, oh man, if I was a current player, that is, you know, OJ's out drinking, you know, it's Thursday night, he's got a game on Sunday. What? I mean, come on, man. You know, nobody says that to those guys that have an accounting job the next day. So, you know, it is what it is, though. You know what I mean, bro? But it's good for these guys to be reserved You know what I mean?
Yes.
And hang out with each other. And, hell, Derek Jeter was checking phones, I think, at the door, right? He's like, yo, leave your phone at the door. We don't need any of this stuff getting out here, So they have to be cautious, man, because, any little thing, any mishap, whether it's their fault or not, could end up being a big problem for them,
And that's how sports is, man. I mean, and I love the fact that you mentioned that about Derek Jeter, because you're right, especially in a locker room setting, like, yeah, we get it. Everyone loves to do their stuff out there in social media, but we're a team and a family, and when we have families, it's behind closed doors when we have those meetings. So
right.
It is refreshing to hear those things. And you definitely understand why most of these players keep it to the belt. It gets to the point where it's like, there's so much out there that we don't need all that. There's always going to be outside noise, but we don't need someone inside giving ammo to the outside. You get what I'm saying? So
Exactly
I definitely
right.
agree with that.
Exactly right.
Batman, do you have? I got questions galore. All right, so if
I got questions, but I'm definitely not trying to kill him with time because I got questions for days.
Let's get a couple more in, boys. Let's get a couple more in, fellas. Let's go.
Yeah, man, let's get some more in.
So Gordito, actually, he had asked me this earlier. He's a friend of the show. He has his own show here on Miami Sports Fanatic Show on Wednesdays. He does a memorabilia show, and his debut show's tomorrow. And he asked me a question today, and he actually put it in the comment section. He asked us, if OJ, do you ever see yourself in a coaching role?
Oh man, earlier maybe, but you just talked about it too, GLT. It's like having a family.
This man said my name, bro. I can't believe it.
Yeah,
I still can't believe you said my name.
It's so hard to have a family. Here's what I did. I coached my oldest son's baseball team. Still doing stuff with the family. I coached my youngest son's baseball team. Neither one of my kids played football. They all played baseball because I mean, to be honest with you, there's 3 votes in my family, right? I get one, my wife gets one, and their grandmother gets one. So I always lose the vote for football 2-1 every year. So that's why there's been no football when it comes to my kids. But the time spent that you have to spend coaching, especially, at the pro level, college level, different levels, is so much time away from your family, man. And, I would leave here, my kids would be in school, and then I come home and they're in bed. And that's 5-6 days a week. That wasn't for me. Not for me at all, So I'd rather be at the family, be a fan, take them to the games, and then or coach something that they're actually a part of, so I can still spend some time with them.
I love hearing that, man. I love hearing that, and I gotta ask you. I need to know the blueprint that you started in order for your wife to have 1 vote, because in my house, my wife counts for like 2-3 votes sometimes. Okay. So I need to know how you figure that out, my man.
Well, I know, because you know why? You know why she only needs 1? Because she knows that, the mother-in-law, is going to vote with her anyway. So she doesn't need another vote. She knows I'm outnumbered, It's always, if I get the mother-in-law to swing my way sometimes, then I get lucky there sometimes, you know what I mean? But it's rare. It's rare.
You're hanging, you have your chest out high if your mother-in-law agrees with your vote, huh? You're there. You kind of you hold on to that one for a few days, huh?
That's right. That's right. And you know what? And then the pressure's on my mother-in-law to vote the other way next time. So because she looks at her like, oh, and now she's in trouble.
I've done messed up today.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, let me ask you. All right, let's transition in here to some fans questions, because we got not a lot. I got about 5 fans questions that I want to get your mind on real quick.
That's
here.
a lot.
I'll tell you.
Well, they're easy. It's not a lot.
They're easy. They're easy here. They're not too long. Not like the great ones. I'm just kidding. So this question here is first and foremost by Ennis Campbell. Shout out to Ennis Campbell. He wants to know if Tua has a problem throwing the 15-yard out route and issues reading defenses, like Omar Kelly has been saying. Apparently,
I don't. He can definitely throw the 15-yard out. Reading defenses is, a lot of young quarterbacks' problems. And I think that's the key to everything. Most quarterbacks, I don't care how talented you are arm-wise, if you can't read the defenses and and see things happen before they're going to happen, then you're in trouble no matter what. And I think that you see some of the greats with that don't have as much talent. And and not saying that I know Peyton Manning has talent. I know Tom Brady has talent, but their talent comes in pre-snap reads. That's where they're better than anybody else. That's where they're better at baiting everybody, into showing what coverage they're going to play, and they know what they're going with the football before it's even in their hands. And Tom Brady made that comment. He said most of the time he knows where he's going with the football before he has the football. And that's the same way Danny was. Danny's always really good at, where we were doing analytics before they called it pretty much analytics. We knew tendencies on, down and distance for a long time. It's been in football forever. And we know if they're going to play in 3rd and 6, we're in this formation, they're going to play, man free 50% of the time. We're going to take those chances. 30% of the time they might play 2-man. But for the most part, we know they're going to play man. So we know where we're going with the football at that point. Now it's on us, the wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, to win our one-on-one battles, So I think the pre-snap read is the whole key. So that's reading defense is part of it, but getting there before, the ball's even snapped is going to be critical for Tua. And moving into his 3rd year, it's good. If you I know you said you listened to the podcast and you heard Mike McDaniel talk about the little things that, that are keys and reads. If he can teach a tight end, the way this defensive end is setting up, right foot up or left foot up. That tells you from film study where he's coming or he's dropping, hand the dirt or standing on 2-point stance. It tells you a lot of things. I think Tua will get that same knowledge from Mike because Mike reads everything way different than probably anybody's been around. I think Tua is going to be able to benefit from that type of knowledge.
Awesome.
Everybody can throw the 15-yard out. All the quarterbacks throw the 15-yard out. If you're at this level, they can all throw the 15-yard out. It's all about either, have the strong arm or throwing it on time or throwing a little bit early. It's
always a narrative. Some of the fans that come on, they always ask. So that's why we asked the question. But while Gio looks for the second question, Louis Amador is asking a question. How did it feel catching the football from Dan? We know he had a lot of zip on that ball. How was that feeling? Like, how did that work out?
Oh, I loved it. As a wide receiver, you want the ball on you as soon as possible. For me, coming out of Penn State, Kerry Collins was my quarterback, and he had just as much zip, and that thing was on you fast. So getting to Danny, it's just more zip. I mean, both same type of zip, and I was ready, and I enjoy it because. Who wants to sit there and wait for a football? You talk about drops in the NFL. A lot of drops happen when guys are waiting on footballs when they know they're about to get the damn head knocked off. They want the ball like right now. So for Danny and I, man, it was just nice the fact that as soon as I come out of have a break, ball's on you and you can get going, man. So I was ready. I was prepared because I think Kerry prepared me a lot coming out of Penn State. But then I'm gonna tell you, Danny, once you start doing that really well. Danny cheats a little bit. He might throw it a tick earlier and try to get you in the face mask or ear hole, So when that happens, you got to cut your route one step earlier because his ass trying to get you. So you got to get him back a little bit.
Okay.
Love hearing that, man. This one is from at Fanatic 1972, Lisa. She's apparently a cancer advocate out here. Shout out to Lisa. Juice, do you take L's harder now as a fan or when you were playing? Fins up and thanks. Appreciate you.
Ooh, that's great question. Because I take all L's. I take tiddlywinks.
She set you up, Juice.
If we're playing cards at the house, I take an L bad. So L's are the worst for me as a player. They were bad. And now, I don't know, every time you see me, hear me on the post-game show on WQAM, you can tell that I'm in a bad mood, man. I thought a couple of times last year I was going to get fired the way I came in there, and I was like, and Seth and Travis were like, you got to calm down a little bit, bro, because, it's our livelihood. Don't mess it up. And I just knew I was going to get fired. I was so mad. But I take L's hard all the time. I definitely do not take them as hard now as I did when I played it. Every loss when I played it was rough. That's my friends. My friends hated being around me. They hated it.
Now, this one is from a guy BLT.
Oh, yeah.
Bill from Boynton. Question for OJ. We know that division games always mean more to players. Which opponent did OJ get especially worked up to play against during his career?
Oh, that's a great question. I hated Buffalo, of course. Buffalo was – we lost it. before I got here, we lost to Buffalo in the AFC Championship game at home. I knew there was a big rivalry between those guys before I even got to Miami and out of college. I hate Buffalo. New England was coming along towards the end of my career. I hate them. Always hate the Jets. For me, I still hate the damn Colts, and they're not even in a division anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hate anybody that was in the AFC East, and to this day, I still can't stand those guys, man. But for us, obviously, Buffalo and the Jets were top teams that I just couldn't stand, and still can't stand.
Man, I loved all those. Listen, man, I love all these answers. I really enjoyed you kicking it with us. Our viewers watching this show definitely have been really positive about having you on the panel, having you kick it with us here on the Miami Sports Fanatic Show, man. I do gotta add a little tidbit here because I don't think a lot of people know this about you. And when I say I'm a huge fan of yours, man, I'm not underselling it here. I don't think many people know this about you. Tell us how it felt when you bowled that perfect game. All right. Tell me. And listen, please let me know if this is the first time you ever got in this question, because that'll make me feel a lot better.
Man, I've had bowling questions come up. I have. But yeah, I mean, that's some good research right there, bro. It's really good research. I actually bowled 299 twice before I bowled that 300. Not that same day, but in my career, and I choked. That means I choked twice. So this one right here, man, I was so damn nervous. You have no idea how. If it's still on YouTube somewhere, I think. If you look, you'll see that, I go back and get just a second bit of air on my hand because my hand was sweating like hell, man. And everybody had stopped bowling for like 10 lanes from left to right of me, man. And I was like, damn, man, all the pressure. I'd rather play in front of 100,000 people in football and try to go out there and try to bowl that 300 again, man, because it was crazy. But I'm going to tell you, I mean, the ball I threw in my last 4 balls were I thought they were probably the best balls I've ever bowled. Especially the last one that you
got that curve down pat, man. You got that curve.
Yeah, you're not gonna get a 300 if you can't bend it. There's no way in the world because you gotta. Otherwise, you gotta get lucky, man. Yeah, you gotta bend it, man. You gotta bring it in.
You in a bowling league or something, OJ?
No, I was bowling with friends that day.
Just for fun, huh?
Yeah, just for fun, man.
Yeah, man. Look at that.
And I kick their ass all the time, And we call it Tore Up Tuesdays, man. We go out there and we bet on every ball and we just, bowl for beers and stuff. And so you got to get good or you're going to end up catching a cab home, So that was how I got good at bowling.
Or the tab, right? The cab or the tab.
That both, but sometimes, yeah, you're right.
Well, you got another question for him back? Because
I want to give him the floor. I definitely want to give him the floor. If you don't have any more questions for him, Gio, for him to basically tell people where he can be found. Obviously, for the people that we know, but some people might not know. If he has any establishments he wants to promote or any shout outs he wants to give out, obviously, more than welcome to do that here. I wanted to give him the floor. If you don't have another question for him, Gio.
I just have one last thing. All right. And like I said, listen, man, I'm a big fan of yours, my man. And eventually that'll go away. Eventually, it'll just be a regular chop it up. So I hope I don't put you up too nervous when I say huge fan. And I think you felt that when you were talking to the man himself, Mike McDaniel. But listen, those jitters will go away after a couple more episodes with us.
That's right.
But I live in Reno, Nevada. My co-host Batman lives in Miami-Dade. Okay. I was born and raised in the heart of Miami. I don't know if you are aware of the city in Miami-Dade, but I grew up in Hialeah, Florida. Okay.
Absolutely.
And very passionate about our city, our sports, baseball, football, basketball. And I haven't had the privilege because I've moved. My wife, she's in academics. She's now getting her PhD in neuroscience. And it's just been crazy since 2015. Well, 2014, I haven't been able to go to a Miami Dolphins football game. But hopefully that'll all change. Me and Batman are coordinating for Fan Week against the Minnesota Vikings to go out there for the games and finally meet each other. I haven't met my co-host yet in the last 7 months. Yeah, man, I haven't. I haven't been able to hug this guy yet, you know. So hopefully soon here for Fan Week, I'll be able to do that if everything takes shape, and God willing, I'll be able to go and attend, and I'll be able to meet a lot of people in the tailgate, a lot of people in the Fins community. So I'm excited about that. Again, I can't thank you enough for coming out here and kicking it with us. I know I've been talking to Seth, your guy over on the Fish Tank. We're trying to set something up where we can probably do something where it's you, Seth, and Travis. I know that's hard because that's trying to fit 3 schedules. But like I've told you before, man, listen, I've already talked to the boss, man. If I gotta take a day off, to coordinate that, man, listen, I'll do it. I'll take a sick day. All right, that's why I got him there for.
Yeah, that's right.
But listen, man, again, we loved having you on the show. Like Batman said, let everybody know about your endeavors, all the programs you guys got, where they could find you, your foundations, if you want to mention any of them. Let the fans know.
Yeah, all my socials are OJ McDuffie at OJ McDuffie 81. And then I run my own foundation with my wife and a couple of volunteers at the Catch 81 Foundation. I'm on the Miami Dolphins Alumni Advisory Board, and of course the Fish Tank. At the Fish Tank 81, where you can find us on all streaming platforms, especially on the Miami Dolphins podcast network, with me and Big Seth. Man, we enjoy the time that we get with former players, current players, and obviously getting Coach McDaniel in has been great stuff, man. And so I mean that's it. I'm South Florida through and through now. I'm from Ohio, and I'm not going back, and so I'm down here, man. I'm all about South Florida.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait to run into you at the games, man. We're doing something special here at Miami Sports Fanatic Show. We're giving a lucky fan. We're doing a lucky fan. Yeah, lucky fan. Every game, is going to get an opportunity. I'm giving away my personal season tickets to a lucky fan that hasn't been to a game. And we're trying to do something for the community because they give so much to us. They help us grow. They help us get to where we're at. So, but I'm still going to be going to the games. I'm just giving my personal seats away. So, hopefully I get to run into you. Maybe a game or two will be fun. Maybe take a quick picture for the show, man. We appreciate you. Obviously, we do.
I'm going to tell you what, tickets are hard to come by this year. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing the way the season tickets have gone now, man, because, everybody wants to see what's going on down here in South Florida, man. It's going to be exciting. I think that, I get excited every off season, but there's something different about this one, man. Something different about this one. Mm-hmm. So, we'll see how it goes, man. But I'm looking forward to us having one hell of a year.
It's difficult. Awesome. It's funny you say that because it's true. If you're trying to get tickets to go to a game, you got to go get it now. I've been having a hard time to get parking for the whole season. That's impossible.
Not to mention the teams that are coming in town. Mm-hmm. You said the Minnesotas, the Browns, Steelers. All these teams travel very, very well too. Of course, New England's always big down here. The Buffalo's always big down here.
Ravens,
the stinking Jets are always big down here. So yeah, it's tough. It's a tough ticket down here right now.
The Packers on Christmas.
The Packers here. They never come here. But think about it though. If you live in Green Bay, if you live in Minnesota, if you live in Cleveland, you live in Pittsburgh, you get a chance to come to South Florida when it's nice out. You're gonna come all day, right?
You're gonna travel.
For sure.
Everyone's bringing their families for that one, man.
Yeah, that's Christmas tickets, Christmas presents.
Listen, man, I can't say it enough. This has been a really great show, in my opinion. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did, 1,000%.
I would love to have you on again here. So sometime soon, man, when you guys, because I know you're probably going to take a little vacation and stuff like that. Things are down. Enjoy your family as much as you can, man. Life is precious. And if it's shown us anything, it's you never know, So just appreciate everyone you can. And I would love to be able to have you on again here sometime soon. It's been a great pleasure, man.
Let's get doing training camp sometime, man. I'll be out there a lot, and we can chop it up, and
I'll be
there. Batman.
Yeah, I'll be there for.
Yeah, Batman's out there, man. Batman's out there. So if you guys could give him some of those, you know what I'm saying, those passes, that allow.
I'm gonna be in the stands too, bro. I'm gonna be in the stands.
There you go. Oh, that's even better, bro.
Yeah.
Buy him a beer, Batman. What you drinking, OJ?
I got him.
What you drink?
What am I drinking? Yingling, man. Pennsylvania beer. Yingling.
There you go, Batman. All right, that's on his tab. Every time you out there in training camp, Batman's got you covered. All right?
Get that up. Bet that up.
Hey, man,
Appreciate it.
again, thank you very much for coming, OJ. I appreciate the Juice Man coming on the Miami Sports Fanatics show. I hope you have a great rest of your night, man, and we'll be in talks here in a few.
Thanks for having me, fellas. I really appreciate it.
Hey,
Fins
you
up.
too,
Appreciate
man.
you.
Fins up, man.